to welcome everyone. I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement today, recognizing that we are all gathering from different lands today. I am joining from the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people, protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. I move forward with gratitude for their stewardship and in recognition of the ongoing presence of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit communities. Now, a couple of housekeeping items. As I noted a couple seconds ago, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent out directly to the email that you registered with once it's available. Feel free to share it from there. Our chat is off and will remain off. This is to ensure folks using assistive technologies can fully access today's webinar without interruption. So please do not use the chat or reactions during the webinar, and please keep yourself on mute for the duration of the webinar. That being said, the Q&A function is on, and if we have time at the end of the webinar, we will move to a question and answer period. Please be mindful and maintain kindness and respect in any of your questions or comments. Thank you. Now, I'm so excited to welcome you all to our webinar today, Works in Action Supporting Senior Communities. I'm Lindsay Glennie. I am the Communications Associate with the United Church of Canada Foundation, and I am so excited to be moderating today's discussion. So thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We're really excited to have everyone here. So moving on to our panelist introductions, we are delighted to have this fantastic group of panelists with us who are working to ensure senior communities are seen, supported, and strengthened. I'd like to welcome Michelle from Red Deer Lake United Church in Southwest Calgary, Alberta. Michelle is generously bringing her expertise on the Senior Congregational Care Project, which includes support packages, planned outings, and transportation. Michelle is the finance chair and a member of the senior support and transportation team. She's been attending Red Deer Lake United Church since she was a child. She's been involved in the church in many ways, from Sunday school to Sunday school superintendent, treasurer, board chair, and finance team chair. And from another time zone, I'd like to welcome Reverend Angela MacLean and Sylvia Thorne from Hillside United Church in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Reverend Angela and Sylvia work together to guide Hillside United's Senior Music Social Club, an outreach ministry designed to offer music education, a relaxed and welcoming atmosphere, and meaningful connection for seniors in the broader community. Angela brings pastoral leadership, hospitality, and a deep belief in the healing and unifying power of music. Sylvia contributes strong organizational coordination, compassionate support, and a commitment to creating spaces where people feel seen and valued. Together, they help shape a program that's more than just an event. It's a place of community building, shared joy, and the simple but profound gift of belonging. Welcome to everyone. We are so grateful to have you join us today, and we're so ready to hear about your projects. So, starting with you, Michelle, and I'm going to attempt to highlight each of our speakers as we go, but bear with me as I work on the technology of Zoom. So, Michelle, could you briefly introduce the project you're representing and share a little bit about your role in it?
Sure. We had a seniors support and transportation team. This was created around in COVID times. My role is being the numbers person in the church and doing the accounting, so I got involved in that side, but I also was working with some seniors. Many of the volunteers were seniors themselves, so that's been really cool. We had about 4 or 5 of us on the team, and we kept coming up with new ideas as things happened and that we needed new things happening. So do you want some more details than that of what we did?
Sure, I'd love to hear more. Please,
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a few things. During the COVID times, we found that many people were very isolated as they were at home. And so the first thing that we started to do was we came up with like a little handout that had some prayers and some passages and some stories about people. And that became actually a big, thick magazine called Church at Home. So that was one thing that some of our volunteers would write for, the office staff would help us out with. We also realized that the seniors were being inside their home without any supports, and during COVID, you're lonely and it's harder to get food. So we had a great group of people who would get together on a monthly basis and make usually a soup or a meal that's in a bowl, and then you get dessert as well. They'd provide tea bags and little candies so that these seniors would get a package. And they wouldn't just get a package, they would actually have people who are volunteers, who are seniors as well in our church, come out to their place and bring this package and have a little bit of a visit, whether it was on the other side of the door or if they were comfortable to coming in at their door. The other part about this was the transportation. We found that people during COVID weren't being able to get out as much because everyone was a bit worried about things. And a lot of our volunteer drivers were seniors themselves and having troubles getting the wheelchairs or the walkers into the car. And so we created a transportation portion of this so that we would give taxi chits to different people. And it wasn't just to get to church and see their family, but it was also so they could get to the hospital for their cancer appointments and things like that. So it was just trying to help the seniors survive when they're very isolated. The other parts of this program, as COVID came out and we were doing more stuff, we had a few different educational seminars. One was on CPR, that's what I'm thinking. And so that we had lots of people come out and learn how to do that. We had a bus trip somewhere. Unfortunately, that day they were supposed to go for a luncheon, and the place they were going for a luncheon got flooded out. So they just went for a bus trip out in the country and had a good time together. So even when things don't work out, you make the best of it. We've had great support from everyone who received the packages. They felt their church loved them. They felt that the church was like, and hearing stories of other people in the church was a really good through the Church at Home magazine. So those were sort of the main parts of it. It's evolved. It's been really great. And the United Church grant helped us. We also were able to apply to the New Horizons Senior Program, which is through the government. So through that together, we were able to do this for quite a few years, and had great success with it. So it was a really good, and it's still going. The seniors' lunches are still going. The church is providing them, but we're finding a lot of the seniors who were at home are now in seniors' home and don't need the food as much anymore.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. And over to Sylvia or Angela, who would like to take this one on?
You're on mute. There we go. Thank you. So welcome to everyone. We're glad you're here. And before I start, I'd like to just offer a warm thank you for the United Church of Canada Foundation and for your generosity to help make these programs possible. We're deeply grateful for your vision and your commitment to nurturing ministries of creativity and connection right across our country. Today, we're going to share a story about, it's called the Senior Music Social Club. It's a ministry really of belonging here now at Hillside. At its heart, the project grew from a simple theological conviction that each person deserves to be welcomed, seen, and valued, and especially that means our seniors. Hospitality, of course, is one of the oldest spiritual practices in the church, and so this program is one of the expressions of our calling here at Hillside. So I thought that I would ground this first a little theologically. Psalm 150, it invites us to praise God with a trumpet sound and to praise God with strings and with hope. It's a psalm that really gathers every type of music together, and it calls us all into a community of belonging. So I'm not a musician. People know that. I'm not even close. But I and many others obviously believe that music is one of God's ways of universal ways of weaving us into community with God and with each other. And so how do we do this with our music club? We learn together about classical composers, about artists from Eastern Europe and around the world, and about the stories behind the music. Then we listen to those stories fresh in our hearts, and once a month, we gather for a live concert to bring it all home. So what has surprised and delighted me, and I suspect you too, Sylvia, is about how this simple idea has opened up our doors to the wider community, especially to our seniors, but also newcomers too, who hear the music from their homelands. We live in a very diverse demographic here where newcomers are concerned, and the newcomers who kind of tend to join us, they feel right at home, which is great. And so we see that people are finding connection and recognition and joy through this program. It's become a bridge into community of connection and belonging, and it has been created out of the Spirit's quiet work among us through hospitality, shared stories, and the gift of music that is drawing people together.
The Senior Music Social Club is a weekly gathering designed to enrich the lives of seniors through music, culture, and community connection. And while it began with just a few conversations, it has grown into something much larger, a ministry held by our whole church community. The idea first came to us through Anna Shabalina, who is herself a newcomer to Canada. Anna has been connected to Hillside through another event, and she approached us with a vision to partner together in creating a music-based social program for seniors. Her passion and her artistry were contagious, and we could immediately see the potential. Anna now serves as our facilitator and artistic lead. She is a cellist, vocalist, and pianist trained at the Gnezin Academy of Music in Moscow. She's a prize winner of international competitions and a performer across Europe, India, and Canada. Her work blends classical music, world traditions, storytelling, and improvisation. She brings more than 15 years of teaching experience and a deep commitment to making music accessible for all ages. The Ministry of Welcome is shared by Reverend Angela and our outreach team. Angela helped set the initial tone of hospitality in her role as minister, greeting participants and creating a sense of ease as people arrived. The outreach team prepared refreshments and snacks, chatted with participants, and helped create the relaxed, friendly atmosphere that people look forward to. This shared ministry of presence is one of the ways we live out the gospel, not through preaching, but through warmth, consistency, and care.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you sharing such wonderful, wonderful inspiration behind your projects. So, Michelle, over to you with this piece. I'd love to hear about the inspiration behind your project and what needs in your community you were looking to address. You already touched on this a little bit, but let's get more in depth.
The reason we started it was because we were finding seniors weren't coming to church as often because they weren't able to get there and or they were just too worried to come and get sick. So we needed to find some way to get to them. And it's really, really important that we have some way of reaching those seniors that are still part of the congregation but can't make it out. So having the newsletter, having people go and see them and bring them food and treats was really great. I also think that, just having the seniors that were volunteering to make the meals was great because it became a community and they're still going and it's really wonderful. So it gets them out of the house and gets them, like we don't want to forget about our seniors, whether they're the ones that are shut-ins or the ones that are attending. So by providing a way for people to help, that was a great way of touching those needs. The inspiration, we have a really great congregational care team who kind of do a lot of pastoral care, not necessarily ministerial, because we do have a minister who does that, but it was really important that just everyday people did this. And that was, they're like, what can we do? And it kept changing and evolving and it still does. And the fact that we were able to, we were trying to get to some people, but now since we're still going, we're actually doing outreach beyond this. And it's not just the people in our church, it's in people in other churches and other areas. So like we found out somebody lived in an apartment building with a lower income. And so we were sending meals to all of those people as well. So it just sort of has spread beyond us a bit, but with the funding drying up in the sense that we used all our money because that's what we needed to do, we have a smaller group, but it's still a very vital group. And so it's been really good to reach those people. And those people have come back, which is really, really great.
Awesome. Thank you. And as well to Sylvia and Angela, you did start sharing the inspiration behind this and the community needs, but I'm wondering if you'd like to elaborate on any of those pieces.
Sure. Yeah. So it kind of, for us, it really began with listening to our seniors in the community, to our neighborhood, and listening for the spirit that was nudging us toward deeper community. And so we kept hearing that seniors, of course, are longing for connection, intellectual stimulation, and for really a reason to get out of the house and a place where they can belong. Many are still feeling the effects of isolation, as we've just heard, after the pandemic, and others missed live music, missed learning, or simply missed being part of a group.
At the same time, something beautiful was unfolding. Anna, who is herself a newcomer to Canada, approached us with a vision rooted in her own artistry, that every piece of music carries a human story, and that sharing those stories can spark curiosity, memory, and joy. Her earlier stories behind the music series had received such warm feedback that people were asking when the next one would be. Her idea resonated with what we are hearing from our community.
And so the Senior Music Social Club emerged in these ways. The community's longing for belonging and connection, the desire for meaningful, accessible cultural experiences, and Anna's artistic vision to share the music in a way that is human, engaging, and spiritually nourishing. And so from there, the idea moved into the life of the church. We brought it to the outreach team, who embraced it wholeheartedly. Then it went to church council, who encouraged us to explore it further. And then together we discerned that applying for a grant might allow us to offer this program in a way that was accessible, sustainable, and open for all. And so for us, it was about really honoring the image of God in each person, creating spaces where people can flourish and respond to loneliness and community. And so it was about weaving all of that together, beauty and welcome and story, in a way that helps people come together and feel valued and connected.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for I'm feeling so inspired just listening to the passion behind all of you. This is wonderful. Now, you're each speaking on programs that were created within the United Church. So why do you feel churches are well suited to fill this gap in seniors programming, and how is this helping those involved live their call and deepen their faith? And Michelle, we'll start with you again.
I think because seniors in this day and age grew up with the church. The church is really a major foundation in their life for many of them. And so to be separated from your church is very sad and very hard. And so to have someone reach out and either and touch their lives through this church online magazine, we actually did live streaming as well. And so since then we've continued to do live streaming. Not that all seniors are good on computers, but those who are can be part of the church service even if they can't make it. So those ones, the actual connection, the people coming out for visits, that was a huge one, because that was another personal connection. And it's so important that seniors don't feel like they've been forgotten in the church. And it's really important that we reach them and touch them where they're at. And so just the visits, the food, I mean, and for me and the church, food is love, and it's the gift of nourishing the soul as well as the body. And so that's a very important part. And the fact that they could come to church in the taxi, whereas before they couldn't, and because someone wouldn't drive them. It was so important for them to see. And we live right on the edge of Calgary, literally across the road is the city limits, but we're not in Calgary, but it's so close to Calgary, you think it should be Calgary. And so there's a transit that goes for seniors, but does it deliver to the church or not? That was the issue, because you can't even get a bus out here. We're just far enough out that it's just a bit difficult to get to. So that made it really challenging for some people who can't drive anymore. So to have the taxi that would bring them, that was a huge, huge connection item. So the connection, the meeting, the where they're at, that's sort of the important parts.
Great, thank you. And same to Angela and Sylvia, please.
So churches are uniquely positioned for this kind of work because community is part of our spiritual DNA. Hospitality, compassion, and belonging aren't just values we talk about, they're practices we live out. And our building themselves are part of that calling. In our recent webinar we attended, we were reminded that our church is not only a sacred space, it's also a civic space. We have a civic address, which means we are physically rooted in a neighborhood surrounded by people who are called to love. The question becomes, how can we use our building to reach out, to welcome, and to serve our neighbors. The Senior Music Social Club is one of the ways we are living into that call. Hillside brings several strengths to this work: a welcoming, accessible space, a culture of care, volunteers who genuinely love people, a mission to serve beyond our walls, and a commitment to inclusion and dignity.
And in this ministry, the ministry of welcome is shared. And so together we greet participants, we prepare refreshments and offer conversation, create space where people feel at home the moment they walk in. So this is pastoral care in its broadest sense, in my opinion, and it is really simply the church being the church.
Anna brings the artistic and educational expertise, the music, the stories, the culture insight, and the creative spark. And I help ensure the structure, organization, and communication that allows the program to run smoothly and consistently. But truly, this ministry is held by many hands, people who greet, set up the hospitality table, prepare refreshments, and the participants themselves who bring their stories, their curiosity, and their presence.
So really, in a nutshell, we're trying to create a space where seniors can experience joy, learning, and community, all of which deepen faith in gentle and natural ways. For some, the program becomes a spiritual experience simply because they feel seen, valued, and connected. But for us as the church, it also becomes a way for us to live out our gospel through welcome and shared life and community.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so warm to hear about how churches are approaching making sure senior communities are feeling welcome and having those doors open. It's brilliant to hear. So Michelle, I'm going to start with you again. Can you speak to the importance of seeing and strengthening senior communities, and how can we all collectively work towards this?
For example, to begin with, my mother-in-law has been in the church as long as I have, well, longer than I have, and she is the hospitality lead, but also the lead for all the cooking and baking that goes on. And she's 84, and she has very bad arthritis. And she is brilliant on the computer, and she comes up with all the recipes and all the instructions, and she tells the person who shops for her the things she needs to do. And most of the people, like I would say 90% of the people who come out for the cooking bees, and they not only cook for the seniors that we give away, they cook to put in the fridge in case, or the freezer in case someone comes to the church and needs something. They also cook for our we have a monthly soup lunch, so they make soup for the lunch, and they also have an On the Edge concert series that they make desserts for. So all those seniors get together once a month. Sometimes they have to do it twice because they have so much to cook. And they're actually meeting right now, all these seniors, to figure out how to do it so they don't tire themselves out. But that's how much they're giving and how much they're doing together. So that team has become a real strong force within our church. And they get together, and a lot of them are widows, and they just come out and they actually have something to do and they have a purpose. And it's not even what we're giving away. It's the fact that we've created a community at the church that they can get involved in and feel useful and feel like they are able to give still, even though they're sometimes into their 80s and 90s. And they still come out and peel potatoes and cut up apples. I went to the pie making bee, and it was incredible. We made 250 pies in a morning. It was just like we had people peeling, we had people chopping, we had people mixing, we had people rolling out the bottom. And it was just like, holy moly, it was a huge machine. So it was awesome to see. And I know the food is delicious, and it comes frozen, so you can put it in your freezer and have it when you want. And my dad and my aunt have been recipients of it. So it's a great program. It's a great way to do it. That's, I think, a way to build community, just because it gives a purpose to the people who are doing it as well.
Amazing. Thank you. And now I am getting a little bit hungry because that sounds fantastic. And I've seen that firsthand too, that the many hands make light of work, but also many hands make great purpose in community. So thank you so much for sharing that. And to Angela and Sylvia, can you also speak to the importance of strengthening senior communities and how we can all work towards this?
Okay, so one of the most important things we've learned is that seniors don't simply need programs. They need to be seen. Too often, older adults become invisible in our communities, but their gifts, their stories, their humor, their wisdom, all of it can go unnoticed unless we intentionally create spaces where they are honored and included. Strengthening senior communities is not just about meeting needs, it's about recognizing the deep well of experience and resilience that seniors carry. It's about creating opportunities for joy, curiosity, and friendship. And it's about ensuring that no one feels forgotten.
And this is work that many of us are already doing. Churches and neighborhoods and families, community organizations, and we strengthen our seniors' communities when we create spaces where people can gather without barriers, when we're able to offer programs that are accessible and meaningful, and this is a big one, affordable. Listen deeply to what seniors say that they need, build intergenerational connections, and to commit to combating loneliness with community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So now the storytelling piece, I'm really excited to hear hear this section. How has your project impacted your communities, both within the church and the wider community? And feel free to share specific examples, community feedback, outcomes, all those sort of pieces. We have some time for this. Michelle, please go ahead.
I think it's made our church known for how well we can cook, which is one thing that's good. I also think that it touched a lot of people's lives when they were really down. And so that gratitude has come back, and everyone has said how thankful they are for that. Because we've continued to go and we had some room, we've been able to help. We are partnered up with McDougall United Church, and they had some seniors that could use some help. And as I said, one of the ladies who cooked with us, her building needed some support, so we were able to send some food over. So we've been able to, because we live kind of in a rural area, it's really hard to have people around us. We don't. People come from all over the city and the rural areas to come to our church. So it used to be 50-50, and I think it's becoming more city people, but you have to drive to it. So it's really hard to be the center of anything. It's really hard for people to just pop in or get a bus. You don't. And so you have to really make an effort to come to our church. So when we were able to reach out, I think that was a really great way of making people know that we were there. And when people come and join the volunteering, they're like, wow, this is a really great program. We can share our love further than this building. We're trying to be more outward seeking rather than inward seeking, because it's easy to just look at what we need to do around the place. We needed to go out further. I think that we're slowing down on it a little bit because it's not needed as much, but it was a great program while we did it, and the group is still together cooking. So I think that's been a really great thing. And maybe, I don't know, the outcomes have been really positive. We had so many people say how much they appreciated the visits from the people because they hadn't seen anyone. We had people who would read the magazine and say, when's the next magazine coming out? I want more information. And the minister's sermons would be in there. So they kind of got to have a little bit of, a church experience just by reading the magazines. And there were some prayers that went out that were really wonderful. So they kind of got church at home, and that's what the magazine was called. And it's a really great way of touching people's lives. So that's been wrapped up, the Church at Home magazine, but boy, it really helped so many people in the time that it was being done. So, and I know our church is still trying to figure out more ways that we can help in the community, but it's a bit hard with where we're at. So it didn't go as far as we could have wanted, but the outcomes were pretty amazing. And those people who got the meals are very, very appreciative of it. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks. Angela and Sylvia, same to you. Your project impact in the communities and the church, the wider community, and stories, outcomes, all that fun stuff.
Okay, so the impact of the Senior Music Social Club has been both gentle and profound. We've seen people who arrived shy and hesitant now walk in with confidence, greeting others by name. We've seen friendships form between people who might have never met otherwise. And we heard again and again, this is the highlight of my week. Our chair of outreach has noted this has been gaining momentum and numbers are increasing. We are seeing a significant number of immigrants from Eastern Europe, I believe. Music is very important in different cultures, and obviously this is resonating with people. Our church is also being recognized by many with the community for its beautiful acoustics. This may bring possibilities for other performances in the future. We had a free will offering at the last concert, and we collected $140 for our Fairview food cupboards to help those in our community. One of the participants had this to say: I found the music program at the church was excellent, as did friends of mine, and one of them goes to the symphony. She was quite surprised at the high caliber of music that was provided and free of charge, and with snacks. They found the sound incredible with the acoustics in our church as well. At one point, I was told that 75 people were in attendance, a very large group of people. It was so worthwhile. I was telling a friend just today about how good it was and showed her pictures. She was saying that it's rare to have such a lovely concert like this available in the community.
We've also seen the impact on newcomers as well. They hear something familiar, something that feels like home, and suddenly the room for them becomes a place of recognition and belonging. I've had a couple of newcomers actually ask if they could, who were musicians themselves, if they could perhaps come into our space and use it for what they wanted it to be used for also. The wider community has taken notice. We've had people walk in off the streets because they heard the music through the doors. We've had neighbors ask how they can come and when they can come. And we've had families tell us how grateful they are that their parents have a place where they can come and feel connected and alive and intellectually stimulated. So, in many ways, I think the program is becoming a bridge into the church, into our community, and into each other's lives.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I am going to toss just kind of a quick question in as well, and kind of ask you, you've touched on it a little bit, each of you, but the ongoing impact of this, and you've mentioned some relationships that have formed. You've mentioned like those connections and people looking forward to these pieces, whether or not they're changing, all that sort of thing. So I'm very curious about moving forward, what senior care looks like in your respective programs. And Michelle, if you're all right with it, we'll start with you.
I know that the guy who did all our grant writing, he's an excellent guy, and his wife is very involved. And so she's like, we've got to get some more stuff going. We got to get some more programs going, get some seniors to get together and do some seminars or something like that. So there has been, actually, we had a really great thing happen at our church a couple of weeks ago. After church, sometimes we have a lunch and learn, it's called. So you have a lunch and you have a speaker. And we had one from Proactive Seniors. And it was a lady who I had personally met through helping my dad find his place, my aunt. Anyway, I knew her and she was great. And she got up there, and most of our congregation is seniors. Not all, but a lot of them are. And so she went and was talking for 2 hours, I think, about how to move, when to move, where to move, how much does it cost, how is it going? And we had, I think, 40 or 50 people stay for this lunch and learn because they're all trying to figure out where they're going. So that was something that was free, but something that continued on with our seniors programming. And that was just sort of, everyone's like, wow, I learned a lot. Where's her thing? I got to find out more. I want to know what's the difference between this kind of living and that kind of living, and how can you get private care compared to home care? And she's very, very, very good at it. And she helps place people in different homes. And so it was, I think a lot of people went, wow, I got to start thinking about this sooner than later, until it's like you don't want to wait too long. So that was a great program from our senior. And it was a very easy one because she came and talked to the church. So if you have somebody in the community who could do that, it was a really good program for us. We had so many people saying, oh, I learned so much, I'm going to have to give her a call. So even though she didn't get paid, she'll probably get lots of commissions from people going to see her afterwards, which is great. I mean, she helps you. And when my dad was going through cancer and he needed a place to stay, and she came and met us, and she, found 3 different places. So there was a really good way of having that connection to the seniors. with the ongoing stuff, I'm not sure what else we'll do, but I think what we'd like to do is get some more programs at the church. We have a music night once a month, and so you bring your favorite songs in with a theme and you talk about them. So that's another program. But there's just different events, but we're still thinking of new ones because you never know what's going to attract different people. We tried dances and nobody showed. So, you got to try different things and you throw it at a wall, and if it sticks, we start it. So, you're always trying to think of creative ways to get people to come to community and the hard part is when you have to make them come, sometimes it's nice to meet them where they are. So that's the food going home is the way we can meet them where they are. So think about all the new things going on.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. And Sylvia, Angela, would you like to speak on this?
Well, I think this has been certainly a start for us. We've had a lot of interest in our program that we've been offering. We've got some newcomers now who are engaged into our church, and we're going to offer some more programs. We're still in the planning stages as to what's next for us. We have done the dance, and we did have a good turnout. We did an old-fashioned square dance here, and it was well attended. We had people in their 90s up dancing, and it was amazing. So, there's a lot of energy in this church for what we can do for our seniors. What we're doing next, we're still working on that. It's work in progress for sure. We'd like to see our music program. I think this is just the start of it. We have a new music director now. So I think moving forward, we have a lot of potential of more connection with our community for sure. And there's certainly a lot more work to do with our seniors and our broader community.
I would just like to say too that our pastoral care team has initiated a couple of pop-up events over the last year or so. Like they've had an event where we had a coordinator from an organization called Grief Matters come in and speak to us around the journey of grief. That was very well attended. And we also had, similar to you, Michelle, somebody from an organization called Grey Wave here in Halifax. And she had came in and it was like another pop-up event just to help people navigate their way into long-term care and the nursing home and the maze that all of that can be, because it can be very overwhelming for people. So that was very helpful. So we've had a couple of events like that too. So there's lots of different things. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, like you say, and seeing what sticks. But we had a CPR. What was it? A CPR event the pastoral care held also, which also was attended well by a lot of people in the community.
Great. Thank you so much. And I just want to address everyone attending the webinar today just quickly. So we are a little ahead of schedule, which means we will be able to get some Q&A. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a little function that says Q&A. So feel free to put your questions in there. If you have it for a specific speaker, please make sure you include their name so I know who I'm addressing in it. And if it's just kind of an open floor question, I will ask it fairly broadly. So we still have a couple of questions to get through, but we will have time for Q&A as far as I can tell. So moving into the other ones that I've actually prepared for today. So about approaching the foundation for support, can you describe the process of coming to the decision to apply for a grant with the foundation and how it aligned with the values and goals of your project? Michelle, please.
Yeah, as we were in COVID, I think we received a application from the New Horizons Seniors Program first. So we applied for them. And then we realized, oh, we can do lots of stuff if we can get more. So we applied to the United Church of Canada because it just aligned perfectly with what we were trying to do with seniors being isolated, having to have care and attention and connection with the church. So it was I talked to the Claude who did the application, and he said it was really easy. He really liked it. He could go back and edit it when he needed to. So he was pleased with that. So the process was really good. And the decision was just that we were wanting to do more at that time. And so it was really a fortuitous and very generous for us to be able to apply to the United Church. And it was a great, we used the money well, and we were able to touch many, many people. So it was good.
Great. Thank you so much. And Angela and Sylvia, over to you.
We found the process very easy as well. When we first began dreaming about this project, we knew we wanted the program to be accessible to everyone. We wanted no fees, no barriers, and no pressure. But we also knew that to honor Anna's artistry and to offer the program consistently, we needed to have some support. So the decision to apply for the grant from the foundation came out of prayer, conversation, and discernment. We asked ourselves, does this program align with our mission? Does it serve our community? Does it reflect our values of hospitality, justice, and care? And the answer was yes. So the foundation's commitment to nurturing creative community building ministries made it a natural fit. Their values aligned with ours, especially their desire to support programs that strengthen relationships, reduce isolation, and help people flourish.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And also, what was a lesson that you learned through the process? And that can speak to the granting process, that can speak to the process of your ongoing impact and your programming. Yeah, what was a lesson? Michelle, feel free.
Okay. Um, I think it was really good to sit down and find what we thought our needs were for the group. And so when you know what the needs are, it's easy to fill out the grant because you can say, okay, this is what we're trying to address, this is what we're trying to do, this is what we're going after. And so we would get together as a group and talk about, okay, what can we imagine, what's realistic, and what can we actually apply for money for that we can actually do? Because even if you get money, you actually have to be able to find the people who can do the work that is behind that gift. And so we had a really great, strong team to do the actual applying for it, as well as the steering of the teams that then provided the services. So as long as you have all that, you can actually, it's a great program, but you need to know what your goals are and if they're realistic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Sylvia, Angela?
I think one of the key things that we learned, obviously, is that small acts of welcome can help create a much bigger impact than maybe we expected. When you listen to your community and find out what they need and trust the process, people do respond. Collaboration is huge and openness to trying something new. And we think that that also made all the difference. But because of this grant, I mean, we were able to offer the program really without charging participants. We were able to hold concerts that brought them together and really invest in the hospitality, which means so much. I mean, people, as we've heard, love to gather around food. So when they could come and have refreshments and talk over food and talk about what they've learned and, what it's like for them. So it's just been really great for us to be able to welcome newcomers in this way, but especially our seniors who are on fixed incomes and sometimes even underwage students. We live next door to a university, or our church is next door. So some of the students were even interested and even popped over. So it was it's really helped create a place, like I say, of belonging and connection. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we do have some Q&A coming in. So I am going to start with some advice that you might give to someone who might want to initiate a similar project. And Michelle, we'll start with you, please.
Find out what your needs are in the community and try to address those. Because if you come up with a great idea to do this thing over here and nobody comes, it's not a very successful program. We knew that the seniors were isolated, that food provided comfort, the visits provided comfort, and know your audience, know your people who you're trying to reach. And also come up with some interesting ideas, ways to change it too, like to get them out to do different things, like going for a bus trip somewhere where they may not go anywhere. So just try to think outside the box, but also think within your abilities. And that's sort of what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Angela or Sylvia, would you like to speak on that?
I think the big thing is to not be afraid to try something new and to look sometimes outside your own walls. Anna is not part of our church. She's somebody from our broader community. She's a newcomer to this country. So bringing her on board, it was good for her. It was good for the other people that are brought in, but, just not to be afraid of anything new and just, try to make an effort and to see what grows from there.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Angela, did you want to join in?
I was just going to say that I would
Sure.
echo both of those comments to, listen to the need that is there and don't be afraid to try something new and experiment because you really don't know where the Spirit is going to lead in these things. So
Great, thank you. And we have a question that actually is a bit more directed to the foundation. So I'll give our speakers a quick moment to maybe get some water, do whatever they feel on that one. And I'm going to call on one of our foundation staff, Jenna. So someone asked if you can describe what sort of programs the foundation covers, what costs might be able to be covered, maximums and annual, or can the congregation, apply for annual pieces or is it once per year? So Jenna, I don't know where you are, but feel free to unmute and start speaking.
Hi, Lindsay. Thank you. So for Seeds of Hope, it's a very broad granting program, but we do have some more narrow things we look at. So in general, Seeds of Hope looks to fund what we call new and innovative programs and projects. So we cannot provide funding to operational, so that year-over-year piece, that's typically not where you're going to come to Seeds of Hope for. Multi-year grants are also not a typical case scenario for us. But it's so new, it doesn't have to be brand new. Maybe you've done kind of a pilot, or maybe you started something a couple months ago and you're looking for some pieces. But our goal with the new piece is to provide some of that front end funding so that organizations and congregations and communities of faith can figure out, okay, if this works and is good, how can we make this sustainable in our own communities? Innovative is, again, a broad, we take a broad look at that. That's really, is there a need in your community, in your space, in your congregation, in your organization that isn't currently being met? So quite broad. We don't only fund programs like this, but for our 4 priority areas at the foundation are Indigenous reconciliation, climate justice, anti-racism, and supporting United Church communities of faith. So programs and projects that fit into those areas always, we do want to prioritize making sure that we're funding those areas at the foundation. So that is something that we look at. In terms of the amount, we don't have a specific dollar amount, but we can fund up to a maximum of 50% of a project's total revenues or kind of budgeted expenses. And that's the maximum we can fund. But, we have typical grants can be anywhere between a couple $100 to, tens of, the highest would probably be about $25,000, but those would be quite exceptional. And what I always recommend is we always have posted on our website and on the Seeds of Hope page, there's always a link that will take you to the previous round and what organizations and what projects were granted and how much. And I think that can be a very helpful space to get an idea of where is the foundation focusing our granting efforts, what type of programs, what kind of an ask might be reasonable for your type of space, especially because there is such a broad granting type. There was one other question that was asked. Did I miss anything, Lindsay, in the question?
That feels good. So the types of programs, what costs can be covered, maximums, and annual.
Oh, one other piece. Organizations, congregations, communities of faith, you can apply for as many grants in a year or in a round as you want. Our Joint Grants Committee, who reviews applications, we don't say, oh, we don't want to fund this project because the organization already received granting for this project in this round. They review applications based on merit. So if you have a couple of neat things going on, you're certainly welcome to submit more than one application. But I think that's covered everything, and I'll hand it back to you, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna. Thank you for being here, and also thank you for sharing that insight. I appreciate it. So we do have another question directed towards our speakers from today. We're looking at how we're able to support some seniors community with love and compassion. And we've touched on this a little bit, but if there's something that you're willing to speak directly to moving forward with that love and compassion and understanding. Michelle, are you comfortable going first?
Sure. Our congregational care team is a whole bunch of really awesome people. We actually had a staff member a while ago who started this group, and it became a really big thing. We provide chemo care bags, which are just a bag when people are going through chemotherapy with blankets and lip stuff and ginger candy and all the different things people could use. We also have uh, just a care bag that goes out to people who need some support. Um, what else have we done? I had three in my hand and it's gone now. Um, but just what else was it? Uh, yeah, I've lost it. Sorry, but the different ways that you can just try to touch the people when they need it. Oh, we have a knitting group and quilting group. And so in our church, if you get baptized, you get a quilt. But also if you go to a senior's home or an assisted living home, they give you a blanket or a quilt so that you have not only the church come out and visit you to give you that, but you also have a reminder that someone's giving you a hug with these blankets. So that was a really important, and it's still going on. So it's a great group of usually senior knitters and quilters.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Sylvia, Angela, would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, we have pastoral care, i.e. congregational care, I guess. One of the things that I really love what they do here is they have birthday parties twice a year for anybody who is over 90. So if you are 90 between January and June, if your birthday is during those months, they will hold a birthday party. I believe well, we just had one in April. Well, anyway, whatever the months are, I forget, but we just had one recently. And we get a cake and we invite them to come in, and often they're caregivers. If they can't get there on their own, they will come in. And I have to say, the last one that we had was just a couple of weeks ago, and it was really quite beautiful. One of the members on our congregational care team, she's great. She plays the ukulele and she engages them in song. And then we ask a question that goes around the table, where you were born, and that morphs into a whole bunch of other stories that would never otherwise, I don't think, come out, because I have to say it was a really beautiful thing in terms of sharing care and compassion for those folks. So that event happens twice a year here, and we have a pastoral or a prayer shawl ministry. So we have prayer shawls that are handed out to them when we feel that they're in need, of course, and worshiping once a month. We go to them in the seniors' home, of course, and have worship with them once a month. So I know there's different things like that, and this music social club was one of the latest and newest, and perhaps the most different kind of way of reaching out that we've tried most recently. So hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And we do have time for one more question, and this is directed towards the Seniors Music Club. So someone was just asking, is it mostly focused on appreciating music and learning, or have folks started to make music as well in the program?
Well, we haven't done any making of music. It's more of an education piece. So Anna would play some music and then she would talk about the composer. She would share some interesting stories about that composer and why the music was written. She focused on different eras of music each time that we got together. So it was good just to connect, okay, this music came from this particular country and this is what was going on in this composer's life at that time. So it was part of an education piece. It to keep their minds active and give them something to think about. We haven't done the actual them making music, but I think that's certainly a good idea that we could certainly look at for the future for sure.
Great. Thank you so much. And with that is bringing us to the end of our webinar. So I do want to thank Michelle, Sylvia, and Angela for sharing your valuable insights today and experiences. We really appreciate the hard work you do, and it was so wonderful to learn more about your projects and how they've impacted your communities. Now, to everyone, foundation grants are part of the stewardship of our trusts and endowments made possible by the generosity of our donors. So if you'd like to make a gift to the foundation, please visit our website, unitedchurchfoundation.ca. The recording from today's webinar will be distributed in our follow-up email when it's available. Once again, please share widely, and a farewell. Thank you again to our panelists, and thank you for everyone who joined today to spend an hour of your day with us. Take good care. We really look forward to seeing you at a future webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.